Hello and welcome to Lift the Load. I'm your host, Claire King, and I am currently wondering how it is nearly the middle of October, which means if any of you have got school children, those half-term days are coming. And I don't know about you, but I start to panic, feel like I need to be more productive, ready for that time, need to get stuff together, maybe prep some content, that kind of thing, so that I have more time when she is around. And I actually thought, what the perfect topic. Time, energy, busy mum vibes, busy person lives, busy female lives. So that is kind of the theme of the show today. And I am very honest with you. I do not completely always have my shit together. I mean, I do when it comes to my clients, but I drop the ball sometimes, like a few weeks ago when I may have posted my mobile phone in my daughter's bag. I was putting a reading log in. I obviously had my phone in my hand as well, posted that in her bag, took her to school on her merry way, and then got all the way home before realising, where's my phone? Yep, I had to then call the office, like the call of shame, and admit this is what I've done, and could they fish it out and retrieve it and look after it for the day? But apparently, the likes of Stacey Solomon have also done some things with their children, like send them to school with 2 left shoes. So, I'm in good company. But with that and the fact that I am only human, I don't always have everything together. I do like a good self-help book. I admit, I like listening to them whilst in the car. And sometimes I pick things out of them that I think will be helpful for me, clients, etc. And that is kind of what I'm going to use some of today's stuff. It's based on this book, Do Less by Kate Northrup. And let's be honest, it says do less. If I can be successful and do less, yep, I am there. I mean, the tagline on the front cover says, a revolutionary approach to time and energy management for busy mums. And I thought, yep, that's me. So I've picked apart their best bits. And we're going to go and look through some of them and really focus on the fact that doing less doesn't mean caring less. And it actually means getting out from underneath the overwhelm that I know so many of you and I feel on a daily basis. So I think the first place to start is about the myth of doing more. Because let's be honest, we live in a world that glorifies busy, don't we? It's who's been the busiest. It's almost worn like a badge of honour. The longer your to-do list, the better you're doing, apparently. And mums are terrible. We go to the school gate and we're like, oh, I've got this and do. And we honestly try to compete with each other of whose list is the longest. And I feel like we're praised for spinning hundreds of plates, juggling school runs, work, PE kits, snacks, dinner money, dentist appointments, and the never-ending, what's for dinner question? And on top of that, we're also told on a daily from Instagram, we need to look after ourselves. We need to train. We need to eat well. 2 litres of water. And we need to meditate, journal. Oh, and don't forget, exfoliate. And honestly, it's a little overwhelming. And sometimes I wonder if only I had a wife, I might actually get all this shit done. I do joke, but in some ways, it's an interesting concept, isn't it? And I'm going to dive a little bit more into male and female roles and energy as we go through. But it has got me thinking, are we doing too much? And why do we always think that we're not doing enough? And if the answer isn't doing more, then how do we do less and do it better? One of the biggest things Kate talks about is how in the world of business, productivity, even fitness is built around masculine energy, constant doing, pushing, achieving. This works brilliantly if your body runs on a 24-hour hormone cycle, like men do. But women's bodies don't work that way. Our energies, focus, and emotions move more like seasons. We have ebbs, we have flows, and they're not across a day. They are across a whole month. The average cycle is like 28 days, but it can vary from like 25 to 31. So, we've got a whole month of these ebbs and flows. And when we try to live permanently in summer mode, go, 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 full power, full energy all the time, we end up exhausted and burnt out. And I honestly think that everyone that is probably listening to this feels burnt out and exhausted most days. And in this book, it really highlights that actually doing less isn't about being lazy. It's more about working with your cycle, your energy, and your season of life. And one of the biggest lessons from Kate's book is that doing less doesn't mean you're not caring. It means you're aligning your energy, and it means your time and your expectations, and you focus on things that actually matter. Now, a woman doesn't run, like I said, on a 24-hour cycle. So we need to start thinking about cycles, and that actually time might not run out is quite an interesting idea. It's obviously time runs out, we die, but time isn't linear. It's more of a cycle. It's more of a circle. And if we start thinking of that, then we start out always having to run against the clock, because we know with an end, there's a new day and a new beginning. So instead of seeing time as a straight line that's running out, what if we saw it as a cycle? Each day, each week, each month is a new beginning. Now, Kate calls this the upward cycle of success. You don't visit one phase just once. You keep cycling through it each time at a slightly higher level. So if you, for example, we do this all the time with children at school. Every year, you might revisit the same I can't even talk. Each year, you'll revisit the same subject, but with a deeper understanding. So, like addition, we build on those skills. So they take it right back. So they understand what the actual addition is, and they build on that. And each year it might get more technical and quicker, easier ways of doing it. But you have to understand the basics, the foundations, what is actually happening in the mathematical equation before you can get to that step. And now I no longer teach, but there's much more about working towards developing, securing, deeper understanding are words we use now around children, because this is the cycle that they will go in. And it's the same thing with personal growth. Let's say you've been working on emotional eating. You've nailed your strategies around your mother-in-law, and then suddenly your own mother triggers you. The type of thing. So you might end up still with a tub of ice cream, but you handle it differently with more awareness and less guilt, and you've evolved. And this is what the framework helps with. Seeing self-care as part of a rhythm, not a reward you earn. So how does seasonal flow work, or the upward cycle? How do you go through these different seasons? So let's talk about them. So we've got the fertile void, winter, the pause, the reset, the time when the trees are bare, the animals are hibernating. It's when not much is growing, but it's not wasted time. And we would never think of winter as wasted if you were a farmer. It's that idea that it's healing, just quietly in the background, and where the ideas and the foundations are starting. Then you've got emergence, which is spring. And for this might be when the seeds are like planted and ready for to grow. It's when ideas start forming. You might start planning, organizing, jotting down notes, that kind of thing. And then you'll go into the visibility, which is summer. This is when you're ready to show up. Your energy's high. You're motivated. You're stronger. You're ready to really, demonstrate what you've been working on. And then you've got the culmination, which is autumn, where you pull things together, wrap up loose ends, reflect, and tidy up. And each phase is productive, even the rest phase. But we need to do that with training. There will be deload weeks. No person is training continually on the go, go, go method. A lot of my clients will know this, that they go through a cycle. We like test things and then we'll retest them after going through these phases. And then they'll have a deload week, which is like winter and the rest, where they still move, but will take a step back before going again with the emergence. It's absolutely no different whatsoever. But we, as society, really struggle to appreciate that the fertile void, the winter, that time is when you might need to slow down. And it's not really lazy, it's recharging. Now, I'm not saying, and I don't think Kate is saying, hide indoors, stick on a cozy jumper and avoid life, and don't bother working. It's not like that. It's understanding that we go through ebbs and flows, and these ebbs and flows actually avoid us getting burnt out. And actually, as women, we are super lucky because we have a menstrual cycle that follows those same seasonal patterns and shows us that this is the way we need to be. I'm sure many of you feel more outward during the first two phases and then more inward between the luteal and the menstrual phase. Men don't have that programmed in them, and therefore I think they forget that rest is just as important as go, go, go. And if we can then see that these ebbs and flows in energy are so important for changes how we see productivity altogether, we start to realize we can't be in go mode all the time, and that's okay. But here's where the problem comes. Society still expects us to operate like we're stuck in summer, but 24/7, always switched on, always producing, always giving, especially as mums where our to-do list never ends and everyone else needs seem to come before our own. And that's where doing less becomes not lazy, but we need to be strategic. Because if our energy naturally shifts through seasons, then we can't keep layering more and more on top of our plates. We need to learn to work with our own rhythm and not against it. Now, Kate says that that's really difficult in a world where we're working with other people. But if we could just do a small amount of it, like 10 to 20% would make a huge difference on how we felt. And this kind of brings me on to the next thing. How do we actually make this happen day to day? And it's not through outsourcing like every CEO would suggest, but we need to think about simplifying, batching and lowering the bar in places that don't matter. Because it's all good and well to say outsource something, but let's be honest, a mum trying to outsource bedtime or the never-ending sock hunt, it's just not going to work. But we can really focus on making things a little simpler so that we then can do less, but do it more productively. So let's break this down. We've got simplify. How can we simplify? Now, Kate talks in a book about how she knows people and clients, etc., that really went through their finances and identified places where they could streamline. I myself, my husband and I have actually done this recently. We no longer pay for a car monthly anymore. We don't necessarily upgrade our phones as often because that extra money can be used to do things like pay for a meal delivery service. So it doesn't mean we have the meal made for us, but we use either HelloFresh or Gusto, and the ingredients come because in the evenings it's manic. My husband and I are both PTs. That's often when we're both training people. We've got an 8-year-old at home. We've got clubs to do. And it means that we can literally grab the bag with all the ingredients in it. There's a card. It's simple. You can choose meals that are short time-wise, but still nutritious. And it just takes the brain power out of it. For us, that really works. For you guys, it might be that you rotate 3 or 4 easy family dinners for a few weeks because actually no one really cares if they've had pasta again. Workouts is a prime example. You want to repeat the same 3 or 4 strength sessions over a month, 6 weeks, because it might seem boring, but that's how we make progress. And many people outsource to me by creating the program, so that when they're even in the gym, they don't actually have to think about what they're doing. It's been made time efficient, it works around their goals, etc. And it takes that element out. Housework is another one. Potentially having a cleaner. You could downsource and get rid of, I don't know, if you realize that you've got Disney, Netflix, Prime now, and you're like, actually, we only ever really watch Netflix, that's just an example, then why are you paying for the rest? And could that extra money pay for a cleaner, even if it's not every week, that could just come in and take some of that burden away from you? That's not lazy. That's completely strategic. Another example would be the takeaway you have every week, which tastes really nice at that moment in time, and it takes away that need for a meal on a Friday night. But if you then could use that money to pay for a meal service all week, then you could take the stress out of 5 meals instead of just 1. Or, for example, you could have that cleaner and it could just take that stress away. And it's just about simplifying in ways that will benefit you long term. There's also batching tasks. So it's really simple. You just do similar things together so that you save time and mental energy. Rather than scattered and that draining feeling and that switch fatigue where you go between the two. And you might be like, well, how do I do this in practical terms? Give me practical. Tell me how to do this. So you could have one big laundry day. So it's not on a constant loop. I'm not sure how well that would work. We have a lot of workout gear here, but potentially for somebody that might work really, really well. I tend to do all my whites on one day. So I actually bought enough white polo shirts for my daughter for school. So she has one clean one each day, and then I can batch wash them at the weekend and I don't have to worry day to day. That might be one example. You could reply to messages at a set time, but not all day. You could do your bills, meal planning or meal ideas for the week, food order in an almost like a CEO hour. So you sit down and do all tasks that need to be done on a computer, sort your energy bill out or whatever it is, but you go, right, 1 hour, and it's all that you just jot down all the tasks you need that would involve the computer that need to be done for that week, but you just do it all at the same time rather than a bit here and a bit there. Training. I'm always going to come back to training because it's something that I am passionate about. I believe that everyone should do it because it not for fat loss, but for the benefits it has mentally, physically with your bones, etc. But I won't go into that. But training is a massive thing. Schedule your workouts like a meeting. You've probably heard it a million times before, but I find that's really helpful. Now, obviously, life loves to throw you a curveball, and then you find that your little one is sick and you can't go. That's life. That's fine. You might need to move or whatever, but you can have some non-negotiables in there. So you might be, my non-negotiable is 1 workout a week. It's nothing ridiculous. I don't tell my clients to have a non-negotiable of 5 workouts a week because then you will still feel like you've succeeded and you've managed to do that one thing for you in a week. Ideally, you would like to do 3, but if your non-negotiable is 1, then you can set that time and then manage it when it comes to simplifying and batching. Before I move on, I just wanted to be noted that there are jobs that not only you can do. You might not be the only one that can read bedtime stories because you do the best voices. Or you might be the only one that runs the perfect temperature bath for your little one. But there are many, many jobs which don't require you. And you could outsource them to your partner. And I know many of you will be like, but the mental load of outsourcing it is something that is an actual problem. We often find resentful towards the fact that we have to tell them that they need to do these things, or we have to ask and they don't see it. How can they not see it? There's no magic fairy bloody telling me to do the laundry that the rubbish needs taking out, etc. But maybe it's that you simplify and batch, that you give them set activities that they're their responsibility. For example, I do the main food shop, but my husband, Steve, chooses the HelloFresh meals or the Gusto meals. That's his job. I don't need to remember it because you have to remember to choose them within a set time. Not my responsibility. He can ask me what I fancy out of certain meals, but it is his responsibility. I don't need to do it. I'm not so brilliant at using a computer and he can't do that. That is his responsibility. Now I've had my little rant about how it's not always just our job. We're going to move on to what truly matters. Where does it truly matter is a kind of a big thing. Give yourself permission to be good enough on jobs that don't move the needle. Because there are some things that definitely move the needle more than others. Birthday parties. Honestly, I am the worst for this. Absolute worst. I insist on making Elizabeth's own birthday cake and making the most friggin' I do partly enjoy it. I don't enjoy making the cake. I enjoy making the little crafty bits on top. I love doing that. It's like Play-Doh with icing. It's amazing. But it bloody stresses me so out, and I'm not the best cook, baker. So actual baking the cake stresses me out so much. And every year, Steve is like, why the frig do you do this? Why? Why do you do this to yourself? It doesn't really move the needle forward. Lizzie doesn't think I love her more, and no one's never like, oh, my cakes are pretty good looking. But no, it doesn't matter. Honestly, no. I did outsource the party last year. That was pretty awesome. I think lowering the bar is also that thing of what is standard? We're such perfectionists that is lowering the bar to realize that it doesn't need to be perfect. Very much like the imperfect conversation I had last time on my last podcast. So if you didn't catch that, please go back. It was only 16 minutes long. Definitely check that out. But it's realizing that turning up to the gym and doing something is maybe better than nothing and still counts. It's understanding that, for me, getting out content sometimes isn't okay, is better than not turning out anything, even if the editing is not perfect, because my editing or my filming are not great. I'm sure many of you have seen that I've managed to cut Steve's head off and stuff before. So, but sometimes you just are well, I've imperfectly turned up, and that is better than nothing. And you never know, the Instagram gods might like me a little bit more. So there are just a few ways that we can just understand that what we think. Does our house need to be perfectly clean? Or is tidy good enough? Do we need to dust the skirting boards this week, or can it wait till next week when we're a little less? Those types of things are really massively invaluable. Oh, ironing. I'm sure not having the perfect ironed uniform, again, we can all manage with that. I know lots of people like to hang it up to dry in order to avoid it. I personally use a little steamer, a quick steam. That's another way. It's not perfectly ironed to my mum's standard, but it's good enough. But the problem is that doing all the above things, batch tasking, simplifying, lowering the bar, it all just makes us feel guilty. The idea of doing less just makes us, that mum guilt just creeps in. We've been conditioned to believe we should handle everything and smile while doing it. But Kate, in her book, says doing less allows you to receive more peace, more connection, and more energy. And for me, it looked like letting the washing sit overnight, ordering groceries online instead of battling the supermarket, and saying no to the extra stuff that no one will remember anyway. It's not failure, it's strategy. And the more you practice it, the better and easier it becomes. So no, I don't have it all together, and that's okay, because maybe being strong isn't about holding everything. It's knowing which things to finally put down. If this episode resonated, please come and find me on Instagram at claire.coachingkings. I'd love to hear what you're doing less of this week. And if you're ready to stop trying to do it all alone, click the link in the bio to learn more about my Stronger, where I take your training and simplify it so you can actually manage to do it in real life. And if you managed to get to the end of this episode, thank you so much for listening. Make sure to subscribe so you can hear me next time in a couple of weeks on my next subject. And until then, have a good one.